My name is Alvin Suarez. I'm from New York City. Um, I am a musician. I work at Verizon as a central office technician. I'm also a music entrepreneur, and I'm hoping to be in law school by the end of the year. Well, I was born with a condition called Leber's congenital amaurosis, or LCA for short. Um, it's a degenerative eye disease that affects mostly the retinal area. But I also have some issues with my rods and cones as well. Those are like the little nerves around the eye because I was 2 months premature. So basically, I used to see much better when I was younger. But I've lost my eyesight over time. I probably have only about 20% of what I used to have. I noticed a big difference about 10 years ago when I could no longer see color, I could no longer read print, and everything just kind of looks like I know there are images there, but I don't know exactly what they are. I've been married 3 times. So after careful consideration, I'm starting to think marriage may not be my thing. I do have a band. It's a professional Latin band called Los Ciegos del Barrio. That literally means the blind boys from the hood. We are all legally blind. We've been around for quite a while. We have 5 albums out. We've been featured on People magazine as we were cited for an award for our community contributions and charitable efforts. We play music in English and Spanish. Salsa, bachata, merengue, cumbia, rock, pop, reggaeton, English and Spanish. So, I was in a situation where I was bullied in one of my high schools, but I had to fight back. In the high school culture, you have to fight back to get some respect. It didn't matter whether I could see or not, I had to still fight back. To be honest, I appreciate those days because it taught me how to be mentally tough. Stereotypically, blind folks are just kind of, I don't know, and I guess I have to ask people who can see, right? But we're kind of known for, the dark sunglasses. When you're a musician, you're always compared to Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder. And I'm like, they don't play merengue, they don't play cumbia. Like, I don't know about that. I think we're Los Ciegos del Barrio and not Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles. So there's that stereotype thing. But then also, if you don't quote unquote look blind, you're automatically assumed to be faking it, because, hey, that's Social Security. I might as well aim high, like a Social Security check. I mean, that's all I'm going for, right? And there was a gentleman there. He was like, "Excuse me, do you guys fake your blindness?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what we do all the time." You're on to us. Like, stupid. Would he have felt better if we were going like this? Like shaking our heads from left to like.
So my name's Griffin Pinkow. I have retinitis pigmentosa. It's a retinal degenerative disease. I wasn't blind my whole life. I was diagnosed at age 12, and we actually found out through sports. So it's something where you don't lose your vision the next day. You don't wake up and you're completely blind. It's over time. When I don't have my cane out and I'm not walking, or people don't realize it, I go off of voices, so I try to look on where the voice is and go there and look in that direction. And I don't know what the definition is for blind for a lot of people, but they say you don't look blind, and then it's like, well, what is blind to you? Is it a cane? Is it sunglasses? What is it? It doesn't bother me. It's just curious. People are just, they don't know that there's a lot of in-betweens, that you're not just blind or you're not, that you could be visually impaired, you could be legally blind, you could have 85% of your vision still, but you're going blind, everything in between. And I get that question a lot, and it's not something that I go away from. It's something that I embrace because people are just curious, and then it's try to get them engaged and get them aware. When I was diagnosed at age 12, I didn't understand it at first, and it was tough. I've never been the one to say why me, or why did this happen to me, and really focus on the negative. But it's tough, certain things that you can't do anymore. It was still tough though, being a kid going through visual impairment. Kids could be mean, and that happens. I played sports my whole life, and that's still been a huge part of what I do now. Even at I'll be at the bar with some friends, and they'll take a misstep or something will happen, and I say, "It looks like you need the cane more than me." and it'll get them more comfortable. I do say I'm the lucky one because I get to get people aware and show them that you can do anything that you want to do. You're like anyone else, and you probably do more than able-bodied actually would think about doing. So you have that outlet once you can get over the issue of, okay, I'm visually impaired and this sucks, but I'm going to use it to show a positive out of a negative and really be able to show that to other people, that there really are no barriers. That definitely helps. So the organization that I started, the name of it is called the Foreseeable Future Foundation, and we actually help the visually impaired through sports, recreation, and also workforce, so helping, those are big areas of where the visually impaired are lacking, and also just in general. So that's what we do to help them, but we also try to foster a community between the visually impaired and sighted to show the visually impaired you can get out there and do what you want, be an active member of society and in the community, and then get the sighted out as well to show, bring awareness to visual impairment and blindness, and that visually impaired and blind people are just like anyone else. You can ask them questions. It's not like they're an alien, and you should be comfortable with that. Now I live with both of my parents until I can save up some more money and go from there, or meet a girl that wants to, after a while move in together, but that's where I'm at right now. It's interesting trying to meet girls, and I am single, and going out to bars or doing all that and being a fitness nut. I don't really drink as much anymore, and you're in that situation. It's kind of, that could happen. But if we're in a bar, and I guess that's what friends are for, if I think there's a girl that's kind of cute and I'm not sure, I'll just ask one of my friends, or they'll help me out, and they could be good and bad sometimes, because my friends will tell me this girl looks great, she's really cute, she has a great person, all of those things, and I find out it's not really what they're saying, they're just trying to mess with me. So it just depends on which friend I'm with. And I was hanging out with some friends, and they say this one girl's smiling at you, so she started to come over and talk to us, and we engaged her and her friends, and it went well. And then we exchange info, and I get up to leave, and I unfold my cane, and the girl goes, "You're blind?" I said, "Yes." Well, she had no idea. She's like, "You don't look blind." And then once again, it's, well, what's that definition? And then I have a different color cane. I usually like to style out my canes in different colors and just make it more like me. And she asked, "Well, why is it green?" And I said, "I like green. That's my favorite color." I use some of the dating apps as well, which is tough. Once again, it's like, how does this person look? I don't know. I can't tell. I'm going off of everything else. So I wouldn't be opposed if I met a visually impaired person, a girl that I started dating. I think that might be better because they know what you're going through all the time, 24/7. They really get it compared to someone else that is trying to step into the shoes of what you live every day. I think that actually might be easier, and then we would really be blind dating or going on a blind date. I'm actually a marathon runner. I've run 4 marathons, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and Chicago. So I was always an athlete, and then once I lost my vision or where I couldn't play sports anymore, it was tough, but then I found out that I could do a marathon. I could run. My friend pushed me to do it. I thought I would be able to do it in maybe 10 years, and in 2014 he said, "Let's do it now." Well, how do you run or even train being visually impaired or blind? I don't use a tether. I don't like to feel like I'm a dog on a leash and they have to pull me back. But we run side by side and we just make it work. There's been a few instances where I have a few guides that run me into poles or run me into a little thing here or there, and you make it work, and it's not a big issue. You try to be like a bowling ball, just make them more comfortable. I was in Australia running up and down stairs with friends. I was there for a few weeks, and a couple people said, "Where can I get that workout tool? What does that do to help?" People just didn't know, and then once I say I'm blind, they didn't realize. They said, "Well, you don't look blind," and we had no idea what a cane is or what a cane does. And I'm just thinking, what planet are you on? Does the sun just melt your brain, or what's happening? It's funny how people don't realize that I'm visually impaired or blind until they see the cane. And even when they see the cane, some people don't know what it is, or they don't know that it's a tool to help me and just to navigate. So it's pretty funny, and it's just how I deal with those people and their questions, and not being offended where they say you don't look blind because they just don't know.
Justin Bonds, 20 years old, and I'm legally blind. I realized I was first vision impaired when I was young. When I was like 9 years old, my mom took me to the hospital, the eye doctors for a routine checkup. And the guy, he told me, so he didn't tell me what number do you see or what image do you see. He just said, what do you see on the wall? It was a 4, but I thought it was an A, so I kept guessing. He showed me a plane. I said, okay, that's one plane. And then he showed me a whole bunch of planes. I didn't know how many were there, so I guessed. And they thought I was playing around, so they kicked me out of the office thinking I was playing, but I really couldn't see. That's when they first discovered that. I went to another doctor for a second opinion, and they found out that I had neurofibromatosis, which is an optic glioma tumor leaning against the back of my optic nerve, and I just started chemotherapy. I'm all about having fun, doing big things. You know, I love music, I love dancing, singing, acting, riding my skateboard. Yeah, just having fun. If it's fun, I'm most likely gonna try to do it. I haven't tried signing up for skydiving classes. Yeah, imagine that, a blind dude trying to skydive. You know, not officially, but I'm trying to be the next Chris Brown, you know? Singing, dancing, all that, you know? Just having fun and get my name out there. I do hip hop, I do some interpretive, and dubstep dance. It's like digitally modified music, like a whole bunch of beats drops and sound effects mainly. I am a blind clown, and my boss, you probably heard of him. Who's your favorite uncle? Uncle Magic, yeah. Yeah. I was the school mascot, and he saw me dancing around in the costume, jiggling, shaking my butt, booing at the other team, all the gestures. He's like, you know, you got a lot of character. He said, you want to get paid for this? I said, here at school? He was like, no, you come work for me. At first, I thought he was playing around me. Okay, he's about to just give me the runaround. I'll fill out application, and then I'll never hear from him again. And he was like, no, he was serious about it. I got to dance in the costume. They started training me to become a clown, how to make people laugh, smile, keep smiles. I love getting smiles on people's face. I love working with kids, too. People think being a clown is throw a red nose on, throw the makeup on, and make people laugh. Like, I worked for this dude for 4 years, and the only animal I know how to make with a balloon is a snake. Or you can get a worm. Or maybe a sword, if I can, yeah. I was working at McDonald's. We used to get a lot of visually impaired and blind customers that couldn't see the big menus, even though the lights were shining, even though they were big, bold letters. I got them to get Braille menus for breakfast and lunch, so that way people who are visually impaired, who know Braille, could just fill the menu and they'll know what they want. I skateboard everywhere. My skateboard is like my car. Like, I can get as fast on a skateboard as a regular car could go on the slow gear. It's like, it's a little challenging, only because the one good eye has to be on doubly alert. You have to make sure you check your 6. You got to make sure there's no one coming from here, this street. You have to know where you're going, you know? See, what had happened was, I was riding my skateboard, and I love going down hills. It's like something about playing music and just going down a hill on a skateboard. You just can't you can't duplicate that feeling of euphoria. So I was going down the hill, and I did not see a car coming down a one-way, so I had to hurry up and like skirt off to the side. My back wheel popped off and went flying. When I was young, my dad left me, and I felt like it was me and my siblings' fault, because I'm not gonna lie, we were some bad kids. Like, we used to do slick stuff. Like, when it was late, we used to sneak in the kitchen, take food, and just put it in our shirts and our underwear and just walk into we used to steal everybody's, food, basically. We used to steal everybody's food, and we used to think that our dad was like always like upset. We didn't know he was smoking cigarettes and stuff like that, so he always seemed more depressed. And when he left, I thought it was our fault. I started crying. I really wanted that emotion. I really wanted my dad to be there. Like, it's a whole bunch of firsts that I want my dad to experience with me, like my graduation, my first date, me getting into school, me going to a technical school for my music. I wanted him to be at my shows. You know, your mom's always there, but, you know, sometimes you want your father to just tell you, you know, I'm proud of you. Good job, son. Keep it going. I used to do that when I was your age, this and that, you know.
My name is Crystal Allen, and I'm from Newark, New Jersey. You see the tiara on my head. I'm the queen blind diva. Yes, I developed a condition called pseudotumor cerebri, and immediately I had to be rushed to the ER because they didn't know like what phase of the pseudotumor I had. What he told me was that the pseudotumor, it's like I'm symptomatic of a brain tumor, but because it's pseudo meaning false, I don't grow an actual tumor on my brain, but I build excessive fluid around my brain, my spinal cord, and my optic nerves, and that excessive fluid turns into head pressure, which makes my brain shift forward onto my optic nerves, and that is what deteriorated my eyesight. Since I was 16 and I found out that, I would be legally blind, my emotional state, it wasn't apparent at first. Like, I didn't really feel anything at first because I still felt like I was me. And I really didn't know what it meant to be legally blind. I didn't know that there was like a community for visually impaired people. And it took me about, honestly, 5 years to get my wake-up call, like, hey, you can't see. And I cried. As long as I am a woman and a person who is with a disability, especially blindness, I'm going to have stereotypes. I'm going to face stereotypes, and I'm going to have to learn how to respond to them. Yeah, the lady remembered me from the other doctor. She was a nurse there in that GYN office. And when it was my turn to go in the doctor's room, she told me to go in and undress from my waist down, standard procedure. And then I'm in there waiting and waiting. I'm like, all right, well, maybe she's just seeing another patient. And then finally the doctor walks in. She asked me to sit up, so I sat up. And I had no idea that I would face this kind of discrimination. She asked me, the first question was, what's going on with you that you can't see? You're so young. And I was like, what? Because she had eyeglasses. So I was just like, you're visually impaired too. And I couldn't understand why she needed to know about my eyes when she was the GYN doctor. Like, she's supposed to be worrying about the vagina, not the eyes. Well, I feel like I need to really write a blog about the things people say to me because I'm blind. like I really do. So this was in my earlier blind age stages. I was walking downtown Newark because I guess I like to shop. And I had on a sundress, and it was summer, and I had on heels, and I had my shopping bag and my cane, and I was just strolling through Broad Street. And this lady, she saw me walking, and I guess because I was walking by myself and I was matching, she was like, that bitch ain't blind. And I was like, what? And so I was going through something with a guy, and I was sitting on the toilet bowl, sad and crying and thinking about somebody who wasn't thinking about me. And so then I called my good friend Naquilla, and I said, hey, you want to start a nonprofit organization? And she said, yeah. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I called my cousin because I knew he just graduated from law school, Rutgers Law School. And I was telling him my ideas. And from then on, we just kept on moving forward with our organization. Our organization is called Eyes Like Mine, Inc. And it's a nonprofit 501c3 organization here in Newark, New Jersey. And a lot of what we do is based on highlighting the abilities of people who are vision impaired and blind. We have a resource fair annually so that we can provide resources of all kinds to people who are vision impaired here in New Jersey. If they hear about it, they want to come, it's free and open to them. We did our very own version of Dancing with the Stars, which we call Dancing with the Blind. And people who are sighted and vision impaired or blind, they pair up, they create their own routine based on a genre of music they select. And for about 6 to 8 weeks, they're being trained on movement, body orientation, and just having a good time, building bonds, Then towards the end, the finale, it's a competition. We had our first pageant for blind women last year, and it's called the Miss Blind Diva Empowerment Pageant. And it's basically what it says, to empower women with vision loss here in Jersey, to let them see beyond any obstacles they think they're facing, because vision loss does not define them. Well, I believe that blindness is definitely a culture, and one of the things that support our culture is technology, because technology allows us to maintain our independence, and it allows us to experience new things that we probably would think we couldn't, but we can if we just try. Before I got the job with the Y, I was a phone actress and a phone sex operator. And I couldn't do it too long because the men that used to call in, they were hilarious. So I'd be caught laughing. Give me a line. I went into the Board of Ed. I asked them for the days that they were accepting applications for subs, and they told me what day. I came in on that day, and they handed me a big packet. I go sit down with the person in charge of subs, and she was like, "Are you going to have trouble teaching the students?" I was like, "No, not at all, not at all." And she's like, "Well, you can't see this paper right here right now." I was like, "I can see the paper, but it's just too small print. I have to bring my glasses with me when I start." And she's like, "Oh, all right." Like, she didn't question me too much. And I still didn't reveal to her then that I was legally blind. I was like, I'm waiting for my first check to let them know, because then after that, if they fire me, then they're going to get a case because that's discrimination. So, but it went on for like 6 years. I do like to shop, but I don't feel like I'm a shopaholic in any sense. It's just like sometimes things kind of like are spontaneous. We just started this new thing when we go out to clubs and restaurants, we take selfies with strangers. And there's this one bar right downtown here called Red's Beer Garden. We love them, and we make white friends. We go into the bar and we sit down for a bit, and then we pull out our phones. Usually it's my phone, and we'll walk up to people randomly with our canes and be like, "Hey, you want to take a selfie with me?" And a lot of times people are receptive. And through that, we've had a lot of great times with those selfies with strangers. I have a 7-year goal, and 2 of my goals within these next 7 years, because I'll be 40, I'm like, I need to find a man, fall in love, get married, and pop out one of those suckers. And I wanted a man who can hold their own, not for me, but just for themselves, because I'm always finding myself in situations where I'm doing 80 and they're giving me 20. And Aquila is on a mission, and she want me with a white man. She want my last name to be Goldstein.
Well, I'm Naquella Wright, soon to be Prevo. I haven't changed my last name yet, but it's still right. I'm the vice president of Eyes Like Mine. I am a singer. Well, I'm a performer. So I sing, dance, all that good stuff. I'm married, I'm a mom, and I have a lot of fun. They call me the newest blind sensation, and they call me that because I'm the newest blind sensation. I'm a performer. Like Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, I'm just doing it in a new way, so I'm the newest. I'm gonna hit a note. I must not have been paying attention. I stepped right on in it, didn't even notice how deep I was. I went from the ground to the top of a cloud. And now as I look down, I see where I fell into your arms. Now I got love all over me. And baby, you touch every part of me. Ooh, I got love all over me. And I don't want to give it up. I'm completely covered up in your love. I went blind when I was 18 years old. I woke up one day, I was blind in the left eye, blurry out the right eye, and I called my mom. She told me to go to the hospital, so I walked to the hospital. And when I went there, it was bad. They said it was pseudotumor cerebri. And I had a surgery on both my eyes. I got a VP shunt because my spinal fluid was up really high, and I'm blind from the surgeries. And when I first went blind, I was mad, depressed for about a week. Because of I knew who I was early on in life. I decided to be productive, and I learned how to use my cane. I went to JKTC and got my life where I needed it to be so far. And that's where I met Crystal, because I'm like, I'm up in here with all these blind people who got the same condition and don't nobody got nothing like me. So one of the counselors there introduced me to Crystal, and from there we just been together. My husband is not blind. I'm the only person who could be blind in a relationship. Me. Just me. While we're watching a movie, he want to talk to me while we're watching a movie. And I'm like, I'm blind. We're blind to keep up with the movie. We got to really listen. If you're talking to me, we just wasted money on a movie. So I'm like, nah, no more blind men. With my son, I had him 6 years ago. I had to have a C-section because of the eye condition and my VP shunt. And when you're in the hospital, you gotta stay there for 3 days after a C-section anyway. And the day I was supposed to go, they started asking me questions about who's home with me and how I'm gonna get home and da-da-da-da. I'm like, I'm not about that. Why? My answer to their question is why? Why do you need to know who's in the house with me? Why do somebody have to be in the house with me? Why are you automatically assuming somebody is home with me? Why can't I be by myself raising my son like any other woman? And then my father answered, like, I'm going to be there. And I'm like, Dad, why you even answer it? Like, it's none of their business. They wasn't going to let me go unless somebody was there with me. The staff at the hospital felt like I was inadequate to take my child home because I was blind. And that made me mad. My baby father is a deadbeat. His family is awesome. My son's father family is awesome. They ride out, they get him whatever he need, they pick him up from school if I need him. But his father his sperm donor is nowhere to be found for real. My kitchen, I'm in it. It's my kitchen. Unless I say, babe, cook, and then he know to put everything back the way I have it, I get mad when anybody move anything in there. Like, I got it set up to where my rice and my potatoes is underneath the microwave stand. My canned goods is in a cabinet on the third shelf. My plates and stuff is on the first shelf, and my boxes is right in the middle on the second shelf in the kitchen. And then right above the stove is where all my seasonings are. And then my freezer is set up. I just throw the meat in there. Like, as long as I'm the one putting it in there, I know where everything is. And then my refrigerator, I have to keep my eggs on the second shelf on the wall. When they get moved, I get mad. So I'm really like a little touch of OCD when it comes to my kitchen because I'm the main one who cook. So my cooking process, I have an electric stove. I could cook on a gas stove, but I have an electric stove. And basically, I prepare like anybody else. But when I put my seasonings in, I measure it with a measuring spoon or with my hand. I don't, it's either one or the other. I love my husband to pieces in every way, but he is no good at being my manager. My husbander is not going to be my husbander once I can find a better manager. Like, he's gonna stay my husband, he just won't be my manager no more. Like, that juror gonna get off of that hus. It's gonna go like this. I'm gonna go in the room, I'm gonna kiss him, gonna give him some ass, and I'm gonna be like, I got a new manager. That's it. Yeah, you gotta soften the blow with a good nut. Like, that's it. Sex is my favorite conversation. Sex is my favorite thing to do. Sex is awesome. sex is how I got my son. Like, sex make the world go round because everybody got to be, the only way anybody is here is because of sex. And I don't know why people feel so shy about talking about it because it's a natural thing. And I'm writing a book, not about sex, but, you know, a lot of freaky sex is a lot of freaky sex scenes. Just kinky. I had a true to the world argument with my husband about bringing sex toys in the bedroom. He didn't want to do it, and I'm like, well, why? What's the big deal about bringing sex toys in the bedroom? I'm not asking you to have sex with another man. I'm asking you to let's have fun in the bedroom. Let's get some vibrators and dildos and lube and all that good stuff. Let's get it in there and play. Crystal and I have known each other for the past 7 years. Best friends for the past 5. And we met at JKTC. She is the self-proclaimed HBBIC, and that means head blind bitch in charge. So, and that's her thing. And we've been doing this thing for a long time. We started Eyes Like Mine together. We're going into our 4th year come March, and we started Dancing with the Blind and Miss Blind Diva, and that came from her too because, you know, she got to rock out the hills every day, and I can't do it. I got to be comfortable. I have to. But, yeah, and we work because I'm so different from her. Like, I'm the loud, crazy, life of the party, get her into a bunch of crap because I'm the life of the party type of person. And it's fun. We have fun because I'm not going to let her be a wallflower. We got to find Crystal a man. I would prefer her to have a white man because I feel like only a good white man can appreciate all them curves and that sexy chocolate. Yeah, we going to go on a speed date. Me and my husband going to go with her and go on these speed dates with her. We're going to have some fun.
My name is Paul Day. I am totally blind. I'm originally from Jamaica. I was born sighted, but unbeknownst to anyone, I had a condition called retinoblastoma, which is cancer of the eyes. Because I was born in Jamaica in 1979, they didn't catch it. So we moved here to the United States, we moved to Camden, and I started doing treatment, radiation, and chemotherapy treatment at Children's Hospital and Bullseye Hospital. Sort of unfortunately, but fortunately, you know, bittersweet, they were not able to save my vision, but they were able to save my life. My family raised me from a young age as quote unquote normal, you know, using the common, you know, vernacular, normal kid. I roller skated, I had bikes, I ran around with all the other kids. I wasn't treated any differently. I had chores, and I was expected to do everything just like everybody else was. And so I started from a young age, you know, learning how to be independent.
My name is Jessica, and my story isn't as dramatic as yours, I guess.
Don't compare.
I'm sorry. My name is Jessica, and I lost my eyesight at the age of 5. I was also born sighted, and was diagnosed at a young age with, I'm assuming it's childhood glaucoma or congenital glaucoma. I don't really know exactly what it was, but I know it was glaucoma. At the age of 3, I would say. I don't have total, I guess, darkness, you would say, I guess is the misconception.
She's fake blind, I call
He
it.
calls me fake blind. I can still see light and shadows, which means I can tell when it's light and dark. I can tell when the light's off and on. I can tell sometimes, I used to use it in my commuting to New York City for work because I could tell when the PATH train doors would be open, like where the opening was.
Yeah.
So that's what he'd call it,
Fake.
cheating. But at at the age of 5, that doesn't really make a big difference. You're still learning everything like everybody else. I learned how to read and write and I learned that through Braille. I guess our families were the same, where we were raised, quote unquote, normal. I had an older sister. I have an older sister. Goodness.
Yeah, where's
I
she
have
going?
an older sister, and we were both disciplined the same way. We were both punished the same way. We were treated the same way. We had chores and so on. So there was no difference or preferential treatment in my household, because the point of it was to grow up the same way as everybody else. Yesterday we were talking about bringing shades just to be interviewed, and I said, hell no. I was like, absolutely not. And if that's like the final point, then that's the final point, because I deliberately don't even have shades over the summer. I will struggle with the sun and be like, here's some shades. No, thank you, because I don't want to be just another typical blind person wearing shades.
And it's not to say like, some of us don't wear them.
We do.
Because,
And some of them wear the fashionable ones.
Right.
Like, it's for style, just like everybody else does. It's not because, like, oh, I'm blind, so hand over the shades. And I think you made an awesome analogy yesterday.
yeah, it was sort of like saying sort of like if you're filming something on, let's say, like Urban Youth, and you told them, everyone make sure you bring your hoodies. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not everyone that's black is gonna wear that, wears hoodies.
How did we meet? Yeah, you want to tell it? Because
You
you
can
always
set the
make it
scene.
look...
can
yeah,
tell
because I always
where.
look bad in the story. But, so we were at a college prep program for blind and visually impaired, I guess, high schoolers in New Jersey at Drew University, and this was in the late 90s. So now I'm telling you guys our age. Anyway.
One day we did this whole trust wall thing in one of our classes. We broke down in individual groups, so we did this trust wall thing. So we were all hanging out there this day. And so I get up and I go down into the middle of the little plaza thing, and I say, who wants to do the trust wall? And little Miss Jessica here was sitting right at the bottom step in front of me, but she was there talking with a guy. And at that point in time, she didn't want to be talking to this guy. So she used that opportunity to jump up and say, I will, just so she can get away from him.
Nice distraction.
So she used me to get away from this guy. But, as being blind, you really can't look across this room and say, man, that girl looks good. Or, so you have to rely sort of like on your boys that are with you, or if you get to meet this person, catching their vibe or whatever. So this trust wall thing in my head was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity. So I'm standing behind her. You stand behind the person, you put your hands out, and they're supposed to fall back into your arms. So she falls back into my arms. She wanted me to keep a promise that we would keep in contact.
But we did, and throughout college and so on, we did keep in touch, and then once I finished school, then we were able to realistically commute back and forth to actually have a relationship.
But who reached
All right.
out?
Okay.
I went overseas to
You
to
reached
study.
out and I ignored
I
you
went
again,
overseas
yes.
to study in London. And when I finally got settled over there, the first person I called was Jess here. And once again, she had no time for me. She was going for homecoming?
Yes.
Homecoming queen or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm calling her long distance.
I'm not looking good in this
I finally
interview.
get a phone. I finally hunt down a phone card, because I don't have a cell phone yet. I tracked down a calling card, and
But
I
you know what?
managed.
It was all worth it.
People need to know the history, The history is important. So I call her, and she has no time for me. So when I get back from London now, I'm trying to readjust back. I'm in a new dorm. All my friends have graduated. I'm a little bit lonely still, so I reach out to her, and then she has some time for me then. So we start to reconnect.
Yeah, that was in 2002, ever since, so. I will tell you that we have 2 daughters. They're 8 and 4 now, and they are both sighted and healthy.
So we always had this fear of going to the emergency room, and like even before they were born, she's like, we can't go to the hospital. Like, we got to be extra careful. We can't take them to the hospital because if we walk in there with our daughters and they're hurt, the immediate thing is going to be
You can't care for
you
them.
can't care for them because you're blind, and we heard it happen. So we've been like extra careful about
Everything, and thank
keeping
God.
them safe. Although we've had friends, their kids falling down the steps.
Couple
they've
times, too.
Yeah, hitting their head. They busted their head open. My
Stitches.
cousin's gone to the hospital a couple times with stitches and nothing. You go in, you come out. But we know if that was us going in there, it was gonna be some drama. And I try my best now in my later ages to avoid drama.
Almost 2 years ago, it was at night, and we had, I heard my youngest crying, and I was, she basically told us she fell on her arm, and her arm looked like it was a little bit dislocated, we couldn't tell.
Yeah, it
So
was-
we were like, she's crying, and then I start crying, but the reason I start crying is I'm crying because I'm like, I can't take her to the hospital. And I told my mom, I was like, you take her. You say she fell with you, because I'm panicking, like if I take her to the hospital and tell them that she fell while under our care, that's just gonna trigger the nightmare. And it's a shame that that has to be, my child's hurt and is crying, and rather than me saying like, come on, let's go, my hesitation is like, I can't take her to the hospital. Are you crazy? You know what they're gonna say?
And then I'm yelling, just come on,
Just
I'll take her.
take her.
Because
He's like,
you're
I don't
like,
give a shit.
I don't give a shit. Like, if they come and try to say, then, then it's gonna be some issues, but let's just go, and we deal with that bridge, when we get there.
And it took
know.
her, but I mean, thank God she was fine. So I am currently working as an investigator with the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights. So I'm a federal employee, and sometimes people can either groan for that or be excited. But I'm in specifically their Office for Civil Rights, and we investigate complaints of discrimination based on race, color, sex, disability, which is an issue close to my heart, and age in educational settings.
Currently, right now, I'm a assistive technology specialist, which is a fancy title for a technology trainer for people with visual impairments and other disabilities. I do vision impairment and deaf and hard of hearing. So I will go to their house, their home, well, house and home, same
Yeah,
thing,
same
right?
thing.
All right, cool.
Depends what you.
Places of business, their schools, anywhere they need, and I will give them one-on-one training on technology that is specifically geared towards them to help them be independent. So it could be anything from an iPhone to a specialized piece of equipment. And I also do evaluations for equipment. So I'll go to someone's location, evaluate them, and pair them with something or groups of technology that I think that will help them benefit themselves. I also just got certified as a web accessibility consultant. So I test websites, make sure that they're accessible, and
For people with disabilities.
for people with all types of disabilities. And before that, I worked at the New Jersey Council on Developmental Disabilities. I was the Partners in Policy Making coordinator, so I coordinated that program, got the speakers, made up the curriculum, booked, and booked all the facilities, and made sure everything ran smoothly, did all the recruiting.
The purpose of the program.
The purpose of the program is to empower and teach people of all types of professions, as well as people with disabilities, how to become leaders and how to eventually start and begin their own sort of nonprofits if they wanted to, or basically how to be partners in policymaking. So how to interact with politicians, how to get laws and things passed to help benefit people with disabilities. And I've had people that were directors of disability programs to people that worked in other aspects of the disability profession to people with disabilities in that program. And it's an international program. It's an international program. And before that, I was a youth coordinator at a big Center for Independent Living in Philadelphia, and I ran their youth program, and I tried my best to empower young adults, teach them how to be independent.
Hi, my name is Mary Fernandez. I'm 28 and I am blind. I actually went blind when I was very young. I was born with glaucoma, congenital glaucoma, which means that there's a lot of pressure in the back of your eye. And I lost all of my vision when I was around 3 or 4. I really wanted to learn how to read because I had gotten to the age of 7 and I didn't even know how to read. So learning Braille and being able to go to school for me was like a dream come true. So I attended Emory University. And I majored in psychology and music. Initially, I wasn't going to major in music because I had graduated from high school. I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do with a music degree? Like, may as well be sensible. And of course, psychology degree is very sensible. So I kind of, went to a music department meeting, and I'm like, why not? I'm going to do it. So I did do a double major when I was in college in vocal performance. This year, in the beginning of 2017, I joined the New Jersey Summit Chorale. We're an incredible, it's a really amazing group, and with an incredible director. And I'm the only blind person, but that's usually the way of the world. I'm usually the only blind person in whatever it is that I'm doing. So a lot of times when you walk into auditions, that's when you get a little bit of, oh, this is a blind person. On the other hand, within the music world, there's this really strange myth that's been, unfortunately, fueled by popular media that all blind people are musical, which is not true. So in that regard, I don't think people find it as surprising that I am musical, because obviously I'm blind, obviously I must be musical. And part of me hates that. I'm like, damn, I wish I couldn't hit a note, If I was to try to make a career like, say, in opera, I think that would be a bigger challenge than what is that I do. I kind of sing on my own terms. I join the groups that I am comfortable with, and the group that I'm with right now, I'm very comfortable, and the people around me never were like, oh my God, she's blind, let's freak out. It was more like, oh, you're blind, and I always try to make it clear that I'm open to answering questions. I don't have a problem with wearing sunglasses in the summertime or when I'm on vacation. I have a gorgeous pair of Tiffany's that I love to wear in the summertime. I look super cute. But I think there's another stereotype that all blind people wear sunglasses all the time. And I mean, I have gorgeous eyes. I don't want to wear sunglasses. And even if I didn't, my face is mine and my body is mine. And why should I have to cover some part of my face to make you feel more comfortable? But right now I work as a consultant. I do disability rights and accessibility. And before going on, I want to explain a little bit of what accessibility is. When we talk about accessibility, it's how we can make it possible for people with all kinds of disabilities to interact with the world. So for instance, by having a ramp on coming into a building, you're making it accessible for everyone, not just for people who can walk up steps. So I think it's really important for people to realize that, I have a normal love life, and with that comes challenges in your relationship. So actually my boyfriend and I are having some challenges right now, and I hope that we can make it through, but there's a distinct possibility that we won't. So, and that's important to remember that just like anybody else, I have issues, and most of the time, actually all of the time, my blindness isn't my biggest problem in life. It's everything else that's really a problem.
Tito Nemesis Vega from Jersey City, New Jersey. I've been blind since I was 7 years old. I lost my one eye when I was about to be 2 in a condition called retinoblastoma, which is basically tumors in the retina that basically it's not a disease, it's a cancer, so it just ended up on my retina. That's the reason why I'm blind. The reason why I call myself Nemesis is the reason because Nemesis is the god of justice, or goddess of justice, however you want to see it, when it's laid down. And justice is blind. The reason why I got prosthetic eyes, because when you deal with a cancer like retinoblastoma, which is tumors, when you deal with cancer, it always can spread, regardless if it's in your eyes, your heart, whatever, blood or lungs, it could spread. So they had to basically take my real eyes out and replace them with prosthetics. I used to write poems. I'm a very emotional person. I used to write poems and stuff like that and just express myself in either stories or play a little thing. I started playing the clarinet. That's my first instrument when I was 7 to 8 years old. So I played that all through grammar school. Once I got to high school, they put me on the keyboard for some reason. Well, I'm glad they did, you know what I mean? But they put me on the keyboard, so I basically started learning the theory of music, you know what I mean? The whole behind the music and what does this and what sounds good. And then my best friend at the time, he told me, he was like, yo, you know, you love hip hop, you love rap, you good at music, you can play the piano, you can do whatever you want, why don't you put it together? So I was like, all right, let's try what we do. And since 13, 14 years old, I've just been recording over tracks that songs that people had at that time, and then started writing my own music. And then at 17, 18 years old, I really thought it was really serious. And I said to myself, I was like, yo, I really got something on this. So I was like, all right, let me start my own label, let me start my own business. And that's when at first it started as just like a crew, like, you know, we thought we were cool. Like, yeah, there's 5 or 6 cool dudes, it's just cool. Call ourselves the Arsenal, you know? So that's what it was. At 18, 19 years old, we just a bunch of kids rapping, bunch of musicians that can make music, singing, rapping, making songs, you know? And by like 24, 25, I actually was like, you know what, this is what I do. Like, this is what I love. So I was like, all right, so let's just make this Arsenal Entertainment, and it's actual business now. Blind people are weirdos. And I don't mean to sound like an asshole, excuse my language. They're sheltered because of the simple fact that they look around, they either shaking around, like, you know what I mean? Like they look, you know what I mean? And like, I can't judge nobody. I'm not trying to sound like a discomfortable person, you know what I'm saying, at all. But like, they don't know that this looks weird. Like if I'm talking to you the whole time, would you be like, oh, this looks weird. The great Stevie Wonder does that. The great Stevie Wonder does that. You know what I mean? It's just that people don't know. That like, people don't tell them because they don't want to tell them like, yo, you look kind of weird by just shaking your head like that. See, when you have the condition I have, which is retinoblastoma, which is tumors in the retina, you have like, you know what I mean? The chance of 50% chance of your kid's gonna have the same thing or not. Because I know people that have the same thing that I have and have multiple kids and their kids are fine. You know? But me, I guess the luck of the draw, whatever it was, my son had it. You know what I mean? And he's about to be 2 years old in May. But at 4 months, we had to remove his left eye because his eye was contaminated with tumors. And now, to make a long story short, when you deal with something like that, like the doctors told me that they could take that gene out my sperm that will basically prevent future kids, if I want to have future kids, to not have that. I didn't know that, but now I know. And sorry to say that my son paid for it in the sense of his left eye. I have a lady, you know what I mean, my baby's mom, which is good. We're happy. And at the end of the day, like, she lets me do what I got to do. And thank God that she accepts the whole fact that what we're going through in her family, and that makes me feel good. That makes me wake up in the morning and be like, all right, yeah, like, nobody's really mad at me. Nobody's really blaming me, even though, let's keep it facts, like going back to what I just said a few seconds ago. But no, but I like, it makes me feel good when I wake up that I know I have a lady that accepts it, their family accepts it, and they're gonna love Isaiah no matter what. My son's mom is fully sighted, my BM. The only thing that matters to me in my timeline right now is my son Isaiah, you know, family barbecues and sports.